Hello fellow writers, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle Winkler and I'm an indie author in training. On my channel I tell you about my publishing journey and the mistakes I've made so that you don't have to make them too. In today's video we are talking about tracking your beta and critique partners when they're going through your chapters. Because if you have a few, it's hard to keep track of who's on which chapter. I'm currently in the middle of my first beta round. I have 5 betas. And one of my writer friends suggested that I tell you how I keep track of everyone. At the end of the video, I will have a link to an Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to be showing in this video so that you can use that as a template if you want to make your own. I'll also link it in the description so you can get it from there if you want. But in this video, I'm going to go through what each of the fields is for and tell you how I use them. Here's the spreadsheet for tracking both critique partners and betas. You'll see the tabs down here, CPs for critique partners, betas. I have beta round 1 for the first round. I like to do more than one round. So when I want to do another one, I'll add another sheet. You can right click this, move or copy, create a copy, there you go. Create a copy, move it to the end, and click OK. So now you have beta round 1, beta round 2, and they look exactly the same. And all you have to do is change out the information, the names and all that, but you'll at least have all the formatting done and everything. All right, so let's go through the formatting. We have this first column or 2 is for stuff that's different between the 2. Everything else is going to be the same. So for critique partners, I have their work in progress, either the title of it or something to remind me what it is. And also where I was at last time I was reading, and I'll go in and change this every time I read more, like I was on chapter 30 or I was on page 27. Because for critique partners, you give them your work in progress, they give you theirs, and I'll have a whole video on how to do critique partners. For betas, this first part, I send out an email, and I'll also do another video on how I do betas step by step. I send them a welcome email that tells them, well, first of all, thank you so much for being my beta. This is how it's going to work. These are the kind of chapter groupings I'll send and how I'll send them and when I expect you to get them back to me. All that kind of good stuff will go in this email. So I put a date when I send it, and then I also put the date when they send it back to me. Just so I know that's done and we can move on. All right, so all the other stuff is the same. I'm going to put how I met them, just to remind myself because I have a horrible memory. So how I met them, just a little reminder. Time zone, because if they're on the other side of the world or 3 hours ahead of me, I don't want to try to be contacting them when they're probably sleeping. Email address, a note about the email address form. If you were to put email at my address.com, it makes it a link. So if I click on this, it's going to bring up my email program and fill it all out, ready to send. I don't want that. If you do, just type in the email address just like you would in the address bar. If you don't want that, just put spaces. Email space at space myaddress.com, and it won't do that. It'll keep it non-clickable. Okay, so first name, last name, or a nickname if they want to go by like their Twitter handle or something, you can put that there, whatever you want to call them by. Now what you can do sometimes to make it a little easier, especially if you have a lot of chapters. I only did up to 9 chapters just to give you an idea, but I had like 30 chapters and it went off the screen on the right. So what you can do is select all the stuff at the beginning except their name, right click and click hide. That way you have all this room to play with and you know who it is. And if you ever do need to go back and look at that info, you just select E and then the space over here next to E, or next to whatever the first column is, right click, unhide, and it all pops right back again. Okay, so I don't need to hide it because I don't have a lot of columns, but if you do have a lot of columns, that's something you can do. Okay, so word count goes across the top for each chapter, just so I have an idea of how big a file I'm sending them, how many words they're going to have. Status, if they're actively working with me. If they quit for whatever reason, I put the date, and then you right click it. You can add a new comment and put like joined military. Oops, I always try to hit enter to send it, but you have to hit the little post or whatever, because that way I can remember, because sometimes I'll go back, why did they quit? That was 3 years ago, I don't remember, but that way I'll have a little comment to why they quit. Okay, so down here, the due date, that's the date I'd prefer to have the chapters back by. That way I know when I'll be done with betas, when I can start editing. If it's my last round of betas, when I can be ready to send it out to my editor. There's a lot of steps in the publishing process, so this helps me keep on track. I also put this date on the file name, so it's DOTA is my, oops, DOTA is the abbreviation for my project, my book. I'll put the chapters that I'm sending in the file, so 4 through 6, and then I'll put the person I'm sending it to. I'm sending it to Jade, gosh dang it, Jade. And then I put the date I want it back. So I want it back by 10 November. And that'll be my file name on Google Docs. That way I know which chapters it is, who this file is for, and when I expect to have it back by. Easy for them to also check, oh, I need to have this read and back to her by the 10th. So little bit of my file system for you there. So that's what this date is for. And then down here I noticed when I was doing betas before that I couldn't remember exactly what happened in chapter 4. So I put down here the title. I'm not putting actual titles because spoilers, but I'll put the title's name or, oh look, I found a diamond in that chapter, or whatever. Something to remind me of what happens in that chapter. Let's say this person got their chapters 4 through 6 into me. Okay, it's read because it was out to them. So now they sent it back, they told me they're ready to interview. Great, okay, so I'm gonna mark that green first thing off so I know they're ready to interview. One of the questions is how would you rate these chapters on a scale of 1 to 10? So they tell me what they rated, and let's say they said it was an 8 out of 10, great. Okay, so this is something that can happen a lot. It turned to 8 January, I don't want an 8 January, I just want an 8. What happened is the field is custom for some reason. Sometimes it's the wrong field. So you go up here and you see there's all these different ways of doing it. If you were to click currency, this is what it would do to that field. If you were to click short date, this is what it would do to that field. So we just want an 8. So I would pick text, general or number could also work, but I just do text, and then boom, it's back to where you had it. So they scored this an 8, yay. As soon as they score that, then when I go to, I can mark this green because now they've all turned in their feedback to me. So now I know this chapter's done. I know these chapters are good. Everyone's read up to here. Oh, it's different than that just because I think I bolded that. You could always just click where you want the formatting to be and then come up here to the left where it says Format Painter. Click that and then come down here and drag across the ones that you want to look exactly the same. Boom. Okay. So where was I? Oh, okay. So see, I can tell exactly where I was. Well, I interviewed them because I got the score on here, but I didn't send it yet, send the new chapters yet. So now I click over here and I'm sending the new chapters. What is today? The 2nd of December is when I sent the new chapters, and I mark that red. So now I know these chapters are out. Oh, I can also mark these red because they're in progress. So red. So now I know all these chapters are in progress. If I had more chapters, they would probably be white because it would tell me, okay, no one's read these chapters yet. Now, when I get totally done, there are certain things I do for betas. I send a book interview. The book interview is the same kind of questions I had for individual chapters, but it's the book overall. Like, out of all the chapters, what was your favorite part? Out of all the chapters, what did you like the least? This gives me a more general view of how I did on the book and overall. So I mark when I sent that interview out and when they replied back to me. Then the very last thing, I've asked them a billion questions by this point, but I asked them one more set of questions. This exit interview, this is specifically for my beta process. What part of my beta process worked really well or what didn't work well? Questions like, were there any questions you thought I should have asked and didn't? Just anything in general that I can find out if I need to change my beta process. I want to make it as easy, as fun, as stress-free as possible for my betas because they're doing me a favor. Same thing with critique partners. And then over here on the end, you can put notes, anything about this person, how they did, if you want to have them back as a beta or whatever. And there you go. That's pretty much it, I think. I'm gonna, oh, I didn't put the, let's say this was 5 even. Anyway, I'm gonna put a copy of this up on my Google Maps so you can take a look at it and download it if you want it. And none of these files, none of these sections should be protected, so you can change them to whatever you want, add columns, take away things, and I hope you find it useful. I hope that was helpful for you. If you want to get the template, the link is in the description. Go ahead and download it from my website and let me know in the comments. What did you think? Is there something in there you think I should do differently, or do you think it'll be helpful for you? Please click the like button and consider subscribing. Those two things help me out a lot and I appreciate it. I upload videos here every week, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram at mwinklerbooks pretty much daily. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.